Hello, welcome to another episode of Book Talk. Today I'm going to be talking about The Expanse. There's a show on these books, so if you have watched the show, feel free to stay tuned for the reviews as well, because the reviews are, because the books, they're wildly different from the actual shows. Like the puke zombies in book one, you don't actually see those in the actual show. A lot that happened on the show that explains better of why James Holden is the way he is. The books actually go through it a lot better. So if you've watched the show but you haven't read the books, stay tuned, and I'm going to be reviewing the books right here, and then you can actually see if you'd actually like to read them yourself. This isn't the first time I've actually reviewed more than one book at a time. The reason why I do this is because there are books that I have read before actually creating this channel, and instead of just reviewing a book and posting it, I just review all the books in the series that I've read so far all at once, and then I post the reviews on them. So The Expanse is considered a space opera, and it's considered the pinnacle of science fiction. It's by an author named James S.A. Corey, and critics and fans are constantly praising the series for its expansive world building, intricate plotting, and believable, well-developed characters. Readers are often drawn in by the series' blend of hard science fiction, political intrigue, because there's a lot of politics in this series. There's a lot of cosmic horror in this series. You don't really see it much in the television series, but in the books, it's basically what the television series left out, because when the television series first was airing, there's a lot of zombie shows on there, and the person who was directing it and in charge of the television show, can't remember his name, but he stated he didn't want The Expanse being just another zombie show, so he took a lot of that out. But readers are usually drawn in by all this, and it has fast-paced action. Well, the first three books basically focusing on the conflict on the Sol system. They're almost universally beloved. Reception from the second half of these books 4 to 6, is more mixed. With some readers experiencing a dip in pacing, because it does kind of slow down around books 5, 4, that type of thing. Book 6, it kind of slows down. I didn't mind it, but if you look into the reviews, a lot of people did mind it. But it's even the less favored books are considered solid sci-fi reads by most of the fans out there. Okay, so we're going to start with Leviathan Wakes. This book is structured as a sci-fi detective noir thriller following hardened security detective Joe Miller on a missing persons case that leads to a conspiracy of galactic proportions. His story is interwoven with that of James Holden, a ship captain whose own investigation puts him at the center of the conflict. What I especially like about this book is the gritty, realistic depiction of a colonized solar system, paying special attention to the deep-seated political tensions between Earth, Mars, and the working-class Belters. It also introduces the mysterious, terrifying proto-molecule that you hear a lot about in the show that acts as the catalyst for the entire series. Readers, when you look at the reviews of this book on like Amazon or Goodread, they usually appreciate the compelling, morally complex characters and the dynamic interplay between the initially contrasting protagonist Miller and Holden, and I would highly agree with them as well. Some of the critiques I have of the first book is I find the beginning a little slow, particularly Miller's story. But I feel like the pace kind of picks up significantly midway through. Also, when it comes to the ending, it kind of leans heavily on the power of love trope. But some people might also interpret this a lot differently. So in book 1, the part that is omitted very heavily is Eros Station. So in the show, they very much go into it, kind of, but they emit the vomit zombies that are in the books that basically traumatized James Holden and Miller. You can see in the shows a massive switch in the persona of James Holden and Miller, and the show doesn't really explain why James Holden is the way he is after Eros, and it just kind of shows him that he's traumatized, but it doesn't really explain why very well. In the show, what he goes through, I mean, I guess it can be traumatizing, but in the book, what he witnesses is a lot more heavier than what is in the actual show. For that difference all on its own, I would at least recommend most people read the first book, even if you're not a reader, because it gives you a more detailed perspective of why James Holden's persona does that wild shift. So now we're going to keep clicking on here, and we're on to the second book of the Expanse, which is called Caliban's War. This sequel expands on the fallout from the first book, broadening its scope with a new threat involving a weaponized version of the protomolecule. The narrative adds two beloved point of views. It's the point of views are the UN Undersecretary Christian Avasarala and Martian Marine Robert Bobby Draper. I consider Avasarala to be the standout character of this book. Her intelligence and sharp wit has definitely won me over. Christian Avasarala is very much what you would picture as a strong, independent woman, which is what I appreciate in this book series. As a father of two daughters, I definitely appreciate this author putting in basically the role model and depiction of what you would define as the strong, independent woman. And although Bobby Draper can definitely be portrayed as that as well, she definitely lacks the intelligence and sharp wit that Christian Avasarala has. That definitely puts her on top as the strong woman character that shines forward in this book. When it comes to Bobby Draper, though, she is an excellent character all on her own. One thing to note is in the book, she's a lot bigger than the actor that portrays her in the actual show. Quite a lot larger. She's even supposed to be larger than Amos. So that's one thing that the show has against it. It didn't really properly portray Bobby Draper. When going over the reviews that I found online on Amazon and book reads, I found that while fast-paced and thrilling, some readers actually found the story formulaic or a retread of the first book's plot, and other reviewers, however, found the new characters and praised the book as a worthy and even better sequel. And one thing to note about the show and the book, you will notice that but book one kind of matches up with season one of the show. Book two matches up with season two of the show. So you can, if you're reading the book and watching a season, it's very easy not to run into any spoilers. Because it doesn't really jump ahead like that. There's not a season that does two books. So I do appreciate that because I'm very much reading a book, watching a season, reading a book, watching a season. My wife, she's definitely not reading the book. She's not really much of a reader, but she does enjoy the show. And she kind of appreciates when I kind of point out the differences of the book and the show. Mainly season 3. That like there's a lot of there's a lot of differences, and I'll go over that as well because here we go. I'm just gonna go into book 3 now. So this is the third book, and it's called Abaddon's Gate. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. I've never actually heard someone say it. It's how I pronounce it. If I'm wrong, just let me know and spell it out phonetically for me. But in this book, the mysterious protomolecule basically creates a ring leading to thousands of other solar systems, changing the scale and the stakes of the series completely. You should note that a real sense of danger and suspense, particularly once the action shifts to the ring itself. The book introduces several new points of view characters as well, who are central to the investigation of the ring, which adds diversity to the storytelling that I appreciate, but sometimes can seem as kind of distracting. Some find Holden more palatable in this book as well, in a less central, more reactive role. And I found when I looked online, some readers were feeling that the pace was slow compared to the previous books, particularly early on, while others actually found the plot less compelling. However, one thing I did discover is most did agree that the book successfully sets up a bigger, more ambitious future for the actual series. So I just got some notes on the changes that the television series actually made to the third book. Major character changes that I found from the book 3 to the TV series include introducing Christian Avasarala a little bit earlier, merging multiple characters like Mickey O'Paw, Sam Rosenberg, and Bull into a single character of Kamina Drummer. So you actually don't see Bull. Kamina Drummer is basically taking over Bull's aspect there, and Bull actually dies in the for third book. And it gives James Holden a new and more complex backstory to actually explain his motives. Additionally, the show expands on Bobby Draper's role, portraying her as being manipulated by a superior officer rather than being recruited by Christian Avasarala, and alters the circumstances of Avasarala's son's death to make her a more relatable character to the actual audience. So I'm just going to go into book 4 now. Book 4 is actually called Cibola Burn. The story scales back the scope, focusing on a single new world through the Ring Gate, where a conflict erupts between corporate scientists and independent Belter colonists. The book explores themes of colonization, property rights, and micro versus macro storytelling. There's new characters involved as well, and they're introduced to represent the political landscape of the new Expanse. And this is a favorite for some as well, who praise its tight focus and character development. And for others, the shift in focus feels like a detour from the main plot line. While the micro conflict can feel small, the book's action and high stakes tension are widely praised, particularly the explosive third act as well. Now, when it comes to the fourth book, the one thing is Miller plays a big role in this book as well. He actually does appear to James Holden, and only James Holden can see him, just like in the show. But he leads James Holden to this place, and they actually find a more proto-molecule evidence, and it actually threatens the entire colony, and that's why James Holden goes there. At first, he goes there because he's trying to make a peace deal between the Belter colony, and I can't remember what the other one, it might be Earth, I can't really remember because I read it quite a bit ago. But they actually figure out more information about the people who actually made the proto-molecule. I'm not going to say it right now because I don't want to put any spoilers out there, but it's another book that I would actually read if you have watched the show, because it does explain quite a bit that the show actually leaves out. So now we're getting into the fifth book, called Nemesis Games, and this book marks a major turning point, sending the core cast on separate journeys as a new threat emerges. It's often cited as feeling like an Empire Strikes Back kind of book for the series, with a higher, more personal stake. Fans of the series particularly praise Amos Burton's storyline on Earth. I know it's one of my favorite. The split narrative allows for deep character development as each member of the crew faces different crises, and this actually allows you to get closer to the characters as well, because you start to realize what put them in their particular situation and why they have the skills that they have. The tone, it really sets the narrative as considered more personal and intimate, with one of the most suspenseful and emotional climaxes in this series. And most agree that it's one of the strongest installments of the book. I do know that I feel it is, though some readers do find it frustrating that the main villain is not defeated at the end. Now, when it comes to this book, it really explains why Amos is the way he is. Growing up on Earth, going through gangs and everything, and you start to really understand how scary Amos can actually be, because it does explain how much these gangs actually respected and feared him, and how much the gangs actually looked up to him. And you actually get a deeper look into Naomi as well. You find out that she has a romantic relationship, and how abusive that relationship was, what was hidden from her, why she kind of abandoned that side, and the mixed feelings that it actually gave her, the guilty conscience it gives her. It gives you much more of a detailed story into her life as well, making you really connect with her. And basically this is another book that I would definitely recommend reading, because it really explains more about why the characters are the way they are, why they have the skill sets they actually have, and what actually drives these characters. It shows why Amos basically clings to anybody that he feels is a good person, why he doesn't trust himself to make judgment calls. And here we get into the last book that I finished, Book 6, Babylon's Ashes. I haven't seen Season 6 yet, so I couldn't tell you the difference between the show and the show and the book. I haven't even seen Season 5 yet, to be honest. But Book 6, this novel deals with direct aftermath of the events of Nemesis Games, exploring the widespread political and military conflicts that across the solar system. The book scope expands greatly, introducing new point of view characters. It's often cited as a low point in pacing for some readers who find the beginning aimless or slow. However, others like myself would argue that the book builds on previous plots and basically has a very satisfying conclusion. I'm not going to say what that conclusion is because I don't want to spoil it, but I've noticed online reviewers describe it as either slower, more character-centric novel, or basically as a filler, which I would disagree with, but ultimately one that serves as a crucial purpose in moving the overarching story forward into its final trilogy. The writing and action sequences are still highly regarded. So when it comes to book 6, I mean, like I stated, most would feel that, or some, not most, sorry, would feel that it's a slower, that it was a filler book, but I would highly disagree with that. It basically wraps up Nemesis Games and the plot line that brought forward quite nicely. It has a very satisfying conclusion. The conclusion actually dropped my jaw. The detail that went into it was fantastic. The skill level of unwrapping the story by James S.A. Corey, I very much appreciated it. The skill level that went into it was phenomenal. It was actually one of my favorites in all the 6 that I've read. I could not put it down. It basically took all of the overarching plot lines that was explained in books 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and either neatly wrap them up or push them forward in a satisfying way. I would definitely recommend reading this book. Again, I haven't seen the show, so I don't know if it explains more about the series. I imagine it would, but again, I've only seen up to about season 4. But that was the Expanse. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, comment, hit like, subscribe. I'll respond to every single comment, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you very much, and you have yourself a great day.